Alright, moving down through the soles of the feet, moving up through the crown of the head. Notice if you have your feet on the width of the mat or if they're right underneath your hip joint. So oftentimes they are a little closer than they feel like they should be. Big toes a little bit closer than the heels, toes opening up wide. And start the process of moving down. And even as the crown of the head moves up towards the ceiling, let the eyes close softly and the attention turn inward. And we begin to become aware of how you're feeling this morning. Noticing where the breath is. Noticing how the body's feeling. Let the shoulders open up, the chest lift. Imagine the skin sliding down the back. Release the tailbone without making a pelvic tilt or anything. Just release the tailbone enough to create space in the low back. Even as you begin to draw up on the kneecaps and activate the legs, creating space in the abdomen, and drop the awareness of the breath into the whole body. Notice the subtle movement of the body as we inhale and exhale this morning. That's it. As you feel your body settling into mountain, Uttanasana, let's come to the complete yoga breath. Inhaling into the abdomen, expanding up through the chest and into the collar. And exhaling, feel the collar drop away, the chest relax, abdomen. Inhaling from the bottom up and exhaling from the top down. We inhale until it feels as if there's no room left for breath, right to the back of the throat and the nose. And we exhale until there is nothing left inside, until you feel completely empty. Inhaling and exhaling, riding the gentle tide of incoming and outgoing breaths. Continuing with the complete breath, we layer that with Ujjayi this morning, that light, sonorous sound that emanates from the back of the throat, sometimes called the ocean breath. If you imagined that you're trying to fog up a small hand mirror, if you find that your throat needs to be cleared or you have a tickle, feel free to cough or clear your throat. If you need a Kleenex, let me know and I'll bring you one. Let each breath become deeper and fuller as you establish Ujjayi and come back to the complete yoga breath. One or two more rounds of complete breath with Ujjayi. And as you allow the breath to return to its natural rhythm, taking a moment to notice how you're feeling again. Notice if you're settling into your mat this morning. And we'll bring the hands together into Hikini Mudra. It's a gesture that represents manifesting that which you desire in the world. And if we open our eyes downward and bring the gaze to the triangles that are created in this gesture, and imagine dropping our intention into this gesture. And then releasing the gesture, and on the next breath, inhale the hands up and look up. Exhale the hands down, comb through the space around you. 2 more times, inhaling up, looking up. Exhaling down, looking down. This time when we bring the hands down, we're going to pause here for a moment. Fingertips touch and just nod yes. Just a small nodding motion. Release the base of the skull. Let go of neck tension as best as we can. And when the chin comes to the chest, roll right ear to right shoulder. Chin comes back down to chest and over to the left shoulder. 2 or 3 times side to side. Just releasing tension in the neck before we get started today. And bringing the head back to center on your next breath, releasing the arms and looking up again as you reach up. And exhale the hands down, bend the knees deeply, slide the hands to the front of the knees, and on the next breath, flex the spine back and forth. Standing cat and cow pose. Back and forth, from tailbone to crown of the head without any wrinkles in the back of the neck or the low back. We're looking for extension, flexion, and to just melt the tension of the night. On the next breath, all the way down into forward fold, Uttanasana. Bend the knees deeply so you can bring the hands to touch the floor. And take a breath here, let your chin drop into your chest. On the next breath, either keep the hands on the floor or bring the hands to the shins or the knees and inhale to pike, coming halfway up. Exhale to fold deeper and step back into plank position. Holding plank position for a few moments, fingers are open wide, index fingers are pointing straight ahead, and let's rock forward and back on the toes, just opening up the toe bed today. One more time, back and forth, and then come forward, come onto the balls of the feet, drop to the knees, relax the toes, and sit back into resting child and stretch out through the side body. Micro movements, maybe reaching through one arm and then the other. One more breath, and then on the next inhalation, hands are shoulder width apart, looking up, and bring the body forward, and take the hands as far forward as you need to make a really easy transition to your belly, all the way down to the ground. That's it, nice and easy this morning. Chin down, forehead to the ground. Relax the back for a moment, rock the hips side to side, releasing any low back tension, and then bring the hips into steadiness in the center, and legs are side by side. On the breath, inhale, lift the head and shoulders with the strength of the back. Exhale to lower down. Let's go up and down 5 times this morning and really warm up the back. It's a little colder this morning than we've had so far this year, so bringing a little heat to the body is always a great idea. That's it. Chin down, long neck as you lift. Think about lifting with the erector spinae muscles, the muscles that support the spine. On the next breath, inhale, come up, lift the chest, lift the hips, and take it into the first downward dog of the day. Adho Mukha Shavasana. As we get to downward dog, play with the soles of the feet, play with the hips, play with the shoulders. How can your shoulders move in this pose? That's it. Firmly root the hands and imagine pressing the hands apart slightly to engage the upper body. When you've taken about 5 breaths, we'll walk the feet back between the hands. No hurry, take your time, always going at your own pace. It never matters anything that I have to say. What's always most important is how you're feeling. And sometimes we modify our practice, sometimes we want to work it hard. Inhale to pike, exhale to fold. Inhale, sweep the arms open wide and use the legs and the back to come all the way up. Look up and exhale, hands down, stand tall. And really feel the energetic signature of Surya Namaskar A. We're going to do 2 more rounds at your own pace. Inhale, hands up. On your breath, forward fold. Bend the knees or straight legs, whatever works for you today. Inhale to pike. Exhale to fold. Inhale, step back in a plank position. And slowly lower down. Pause just above the ground. Hold it for a moment if you need to. Melt into the ground. And then release it all the way down. And inhale into Cobra, Bhujangasana. If your back is warm enough, if it's not, keep it in a small Cobra. On the next breath, lift the chest, lift the hips, and take it into downward dog. We get to downward dog, holding for 5 breaths. Notice what happens at the end of each exhalation and exaggerate the sensation in the low abdomen. Notice the sensation. Maybe you can feel your internal organs moving up into the abdominal cavity. Shoulders are back and down away from the ears. Hands are pressing apart. Thumb and first finger firmly rooted into the ground. If you feel tired at any point in any downward dog today, feel free to go back to resting child like we did in the first round. When you've taken 5 breaths, let's try to take a big step and bring the right foot forward between the hands and then the left foot. That's it. Inhale, hiking, exhale, folding. On the next breath, sweep the arms open wide, trying to find straight line, straight back, and all the way up. And exhale, hands down by your sides and stand tall. Pick up some space this morning. That's it. Wow, round 3. Inhale on your breath. Inhale, hands up. Exhale, fold from the hip joint, arms frame the ears, or back to one of the earlier modifications. Hiking and folding. Take it back into plank. And let's try the full expression of chaturanga. Lower down slowly and roll onto the front of the feet into upward dog, if you're feeling warm enough for that. Shoulders are back and down, chest is lifted and open. Try not to lock the elbows so much. On the next breath, roll up, come to the end of the exhalation, roll over onto the toes, lift the hips up into downward dog, and hold for 5 breaths. When you've held for 5 breaths, although you're done, when you walk, step, or hop the feet back between the feet. The hop comes from the energy of a handstand. So don't worry so much about how far forward you get, but thinking about lifting the hips and letting the feet float between the hands. Even if they only come 6 inches forward, experiment with the energy of the pose. That's it. Awesome. Exhale into forward fold, chin down. Inhale to pike, look to the center of the forehead. Exhale to fold. Inhale, arms reach up and frame the ears. And coming all the way up with a straight back. Exhale, hands down, stand tall. Find your space. Notice how you're feeling. And on the next breath, moving to Surya Namaskar B. Inhale, hands up. Exhale into Uttanasana. Take a seat into a small squat, gazing at the thumbs. If you find it hard to look at your thumbs, they're too high, lower your arms. If you find the hands get frizzly or you've got neck issues, you want to drop the shoulders and create space in here so that we never cut off the energy of the brachial artery. On the next breath, forward fold, hinge forward from the hip joint. Inhale, piking, exhale, folding. Inhale, take it back into plank. Exhale to lower down slowly and roll onto the front of the feet. Modify it if you need to by dropping to the knees. Inhale into a back bend that feels good today. Exhale into downward dog. And hold for 5 breaths. Actually, we're going to do Surya Namaskar B. So let's rotate the left foot and take the right foot forward between the hands. As the right foot comes forward, inhale, sweep the hands up into Virabhadrasana 1. So with Virabhadrasana 1, the hips are square to the top of the mat. Draw up on the kneecaps, on the back leg, draw up on the arches, and on the next breath, let's bring the hands down as we straighten the front leg, hinge forward from the hip joint, forehead towards the knee. Bend the knee and step back into plank. Chaturanga, lower down slowly. Inhale into a back bend. Exhale into downward dog. Left foot is going to come forward now, so we rotate the right foot, take the left foot forward between the hands. Inhale, sweep the hands up. Find your breath and get steady. Firmly root the back edge of the back foot into the floor. Drop through the core body. Remember, energy of mountain. On the breath, straighten the front leg. Exhale, hinge forward from the hip joint. Step back into plank. And Vinyasa. Vinyasa simply means putting together the poses of Vinyasa is singular and plural. So when we say Vinyasa, usually we mean up dog, down dog, and find our way back to the top of the mat. When you're taking 5 breaths here, walk, step, or hop the feet forward. And again, don't stress over how beautiful it is. More to experiment. Take some calculated risks with how you get there. If you're having trouble just bringing 1 foot forward between the hands, work on that. That's it. Exhale. Inhale to pike. Exhale to fold. Inhale. Back into Uttanasana. Sweep the arms open wide. Take a seat and come and gaze onto the thumbs. Shoulders are back and down away from the ears. Hands are out in front. On the next breath, inhale all the way up into Uttanasana, small back bend. Stand tall and exhale the hands down as you come back to mountain. Back to Samasa, relaxed standing pose. And just feeling the difference between A and B this morning. On the next breath, inhale, hands up. Exhale, back to Uttanasana, gazing at the thumbs. Breathing, hips, knees, feet, all in alignment. Notice if the knees are winging out and allow them to come right on top of the ankles. If you can, shoulders back and down. And on the breath, exhale the forward fold. Uttanasana, hiking, Ardha Uttanasana, folding. Take it back into plank. You want to make it more challenging? Take one foot off the floor as you lower down. If it's challenging enough, listen to your body. Inhale into upward dog. Exhale into downward dog. And the warrior is coming up. Rotate left foot. Take the right foot forward between the hands. Inhale coming up. And nice tall body. Shoulders back and down. And on your breath, exhale the forward fold. Find your smile. It's a good day. And step back into plank. Chaturanga. Urdhva Mukha Shivanasana. Adho Mukha Shivanasana. Left foot comes forward. Virabhadrasana 1. That's it. Adjust the stance. It's a fairly narrow stance to keep the hips in line with the top of the mat. On your breath, straighten the front leg. Exhale, forward fold over the front leg. Inhale, step back. And Vinyasa. You're doing great. That's it. If you need to modify anything, take care of you. The left foot's going to come forward when you're ready. We do both feet ready. Inhale, coming up. Get steady. You're doing great. And on your breath, forward fold. On your breath, step back. And Vinyasa. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. And when you get to down dog, holding for 5 breaths. That's it. Exaggerating each exhalation. Right? This style of yoga was called Yoga Chikitsa. It's a therapeutic style meant to move all the blocked energy, tension, samskaras, places of blocked energy in the body. It's also moving toxins as we stretch and strengthen all the muscles in the body. We're moving them against the bones, the ligaments, the tendons. On the breath, bringing the feet back between the hands. Exhaling, inhale to pike, exhale to fold. Inhale, coming back to Uttanasana, the small squat, gazing at the thumbs, and then inhale all the way up into Uttanasana, the small back bend. Reach, make it feel good, and bring it back. Exhale, hands down, stand tall. Find your space. Round 3 coming up. Really go at your own pace. If you can move with your breath. Don't worry about anything that I have to say. My pace is different than your breath. Listen to your breath. Inhale, hands up. Exhale into Uttanasana. On your breath, forward fold. Hinge from the hip joint. Look down the nose. Inhale, look up, piking. Exhale, folding. Take it back into plank. Chaturanga. Lower down, drop to the knees if you need to. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. And right foot comes forward between the hands. Inhale, coming up. Exhale, forward fold. On your breath, take it back. Vinyasa. If you're watching and you need to modify or go slower, feel free to pause anytime. Always listen to your body. The theory is with Ashtanga, if you stop, then you're done. So if you stop for any more than 5 to 8 breaths in this practice, you're done. Better to come into Shavasana, relax, and allow yourself to get stronger for the next practice. Doing great. When you get to the last downward dog, hold in for 5 breaths. Notice if downward dog is starting to feel like a break. It's a good feeling. You get to hang out there for a moment and catch your breath. When you take in 5 breaths, we'll bring it back to the top of the mat. Inhale, piking, exhale, folding. Inhale, coming all the way back up to standing. Look up. Small back bend. Yeah, Uttanasana, yeah. And small back bend. And bring it back to standing. Stand tall for a moment. Notice where you feel warm, where you feel cool, what feels stimulated, what feels calm. And on the next breath, inhale, hands up. And exhale, forward fold. First 2 fingers grab the big toes. Draw the big toes towards you as you press down with the toes. We draw up with the hands, creating an opposing action. And now it becomes a more aggressive stretch. We're moving towards 95% of our extension. If you find yourself pushing right to 100%, you may find you're getting the muscles to tense up and pull back. You get a stretch response. If we stay just at a max of 95%, we get a relaxation response, which is what we're looking for, the muscles to extend. When you take in 5 breaths, release the big toes. Inhale to pike, exhale to fold. And take the hands underneath the soles of the feet, toes into the palms of the hands. And if you have any issues with your hands, of course, you could repeat the same big toe gesture. And pulling up with the hands as you press down with the soles of the feet. And again, coming to 95% of your stretch. Find the edge. The body should be warm enough. Just letting all tension fall away from the back line of the body. Looking down the nose to the groin. Exaggerate each exhalation just a little in a low belly. When you've taken 5 breaths, release the hands. Inhale to pike. Exhale to fold. Take it back in a plank and Vinyasa. And again, feel free to modify it in any way that you need to. Make it more challenging, make it easier. Right? Listen to your body. Elbows hug the ribs through these transitions. We're working on the tricep transition as opposed to taking it out wide. When you've taken 5 breaths in downward dog, I'll know you're done when you bring the right foot forward between the hands. And come back to warrior 1, Virabhadrasana 1. You're doing great. Inhale, coming up. And we're going to open up to warrior 2. Face the outside wall, window wall. And let's make sure that the top foot is in line with the top of the mat. Knee is right over top of the ankle. And the back toes come into the midline just slightly so that that's it, beauty. Should feel good. Go a little deeper. Shoulders are relaxed, back and down. Palm of the lead hand is up, and the gaze comes through the middle of the hand out through the fingers. Soft gaze. Not trying to see if we need a manicure, but just gazing off into the distance. Find your breath, get steady. On the next breath, let's come into side angle pose. Drop into and hinge from the core and rotate back of the right arm against the inside of the right leg. Press them towards each other and take lengthen from fingertips to fingertips. If you needed to modify it, you could put your forearm on your thigh. That's it, on just above the knee. When you've taken 5 breaths, let's drop the left hand down towards the hip and make a semicircle around until it comes up and extends over the ear. Lengthen, you're going to stay on your side and keep facing that way, Jessica. Good. Drop your hand down to your side. Yeah, and bring your arm across your chest, just your arm, and you're gonna come into the same pose. You're gonna reach up here. Yeah, bring your hand down to your hip, come across, reach your hand to me. That's it, over your ear, keep it over your ear. Extended side angle, arm goes this way. Yes, there it is. Awesome, no, that's awesome. It's good to experiment and find it. And then hold for another breath. Think about opening whole side body from your heel to the fingertips. And on the next breath, then drop the left hand down towards the ground. Rotate onto the toes of the back foot. And bring your left hand to the floor by your foot. And take the right hand up to the ceiling. Revolve side angle pose. Prasarita. Yatita. Uttanasana. Notice if you're over-directing at the shoulder joint, and we want to bring the hand, we're going to be able to see the palm without straining your neck. Think about the opening coming through the chest, not so much of just where the arm could go, but where could the chest go? And reach up and out, breathing and holding. Imagine someone sliding their hand across your belly so you feel the twist that's happening. On the next breath, bring the top hand to the floor, step back into plank. And Vinyasa. Inhale, up dog, exhale, down dog, listening to your body. If you need a break, taking a break. Enjoy your break this morning. When you've taken 5 breaths, we'll bring the left foot forward between the hands. As the left foot comes forward between the hands, come to Virabhadrasana 1. And from Virabhadrasana 1, opening up the stance into Virabhadrasana 2. Palm of the left hand is forward. Back heel is firmly rooted in the ground, lunging forward, strong legs, teeth together, and we gaze through the palm of the hand. 1 or 2 more breaths here, holding. And on the next exhalation, let's come into side angle pose. That's it. Turn and look to the palm of the hand. If it strains the neck, keep the gaze to the side of the room or to the floor. You're doing great. Listen to your body. When you've taken 5 breaths, drop the arm down towards the hip. Slide the arm across the chest in a nice big semicircle and reach out into extended side angle pose. Breathe and hold. That's it. Imagine squeezing your bottom leg and your arm together to engage the core. When you've held for 5 breaths, or if you need to modify it, you can take a hand behind the head or to the back of the hip. Breathe and hold. When you've taken 5 breaths, bring the top hand down. Come onto the toes of the back foot. Rotate through the core and take the left hand back up to the ceiling. Breathe and hold. You're doing great. And when you've taken 5 breaths, I'll know you're done. When you bring the left hand back to the floor and step back into plank and Vinyasa. You get to downward dog, we're holding for 5 breaths. When you've taken 5 breaths here, we'll come back to the top of the mat and prepare for balancing. All the way back up to standing. Stand tall and find a focal point straight ahead in line with the nose. As you find your focal point, bring the hands up for balance and let's shift the weight onto your right foot and bring the left knee up. Bring your left knee up, and if you can, with your left hand, grab a hold of your big toe. First 2 fingers grab the big toe. And extend the left leg out in front. If you can't, you can hold behind the knee, or if you'd like a strap, let me know and I'll bring you a strap. That's it. Breathing and holding. When you've held for 5 breaths, externally rotate the hip and take it out to the side for 5 breaths. No hurry. When you've taken 5 breaths at the side, we'll bring it back to the center, and either 2 hands behind the knee or 2 hands around the sole of the foot this morning. And when you've held with 2 hands, try to stay up tall. Notice if you're leaning back, it's better to have the leg lower than to lean back. When you've taken 5 breaths with 2 hands, release the hands and try to hold with no hands. That's it. Breathing and holding. One day we'll bring it up to hip height, but not necessarily today. Find your breath. Let your breath support you. Use Ujjayi. If something's challenging, experiment with using Ujjayi pranayama. Gaze is on the big toe. When you've taken 5 breaths, bring the feet back together, back underneath the hips. Stand tall for a moment. Really feel the difference in the 2 sides. And Vinyasa. Inhale, hands up. Exhale, forward fold. And piking and folding. And take it back into plank at your own pace. Go at your own pace. Vinyasa. That's it. Up dog and down dog. Or cobra. And resting child if you need to take a break. When you've taken 5 breaths in this final pose, I'll know you're done when you bring the feet back between the hands and come back to standing. All the way back up, standing tall. As you find your way back to standing, find a focal point once again in line with the nose. Maybe 6 to 10 feet ahead of you on the floor or on the wall. As you hold on to your focal point with the gaze, shift the weight onto your left foot and bring the right knee up. If you can reach, grab a hold of your big toe, the first 2 fingers, and extend the leg out straight. Press the leg down as you draw up with the arm. So there's an opposing action. You can even imagine that you have 3 legs and then there are 2 legs on the floor and 1 leg extended. So trying to square the hips as if you're standing on both feet. That's it. When you take in 5 breaths, externally rotate out to the side and hold for 5. You're doing great. When you've taken 5 breaths there, bring it back to center. 2 hands behind the knee or 2 hands around the sole of the foot. Holding, getting tall. Really feel a sense of lifting through the supporting side, pressing down with the lifted hip, squaring them. Find your breath, find your smile. It's a good day. The sun is shining again today. On the next breath, hold, stretching it out if you're ready. And no arms, holding it with the strength of the leg. One side might be different than the other. Really listen to your body. If one side needs some type of modification, really try to listen to that and do the same on both sides so that we create some symmetry. And when you've taken 5 breaths, bring the feet back together. Stand tall with both feet. Take a moment just to feel the energetic signature of the pose or the sequence. And on the next breath, Vinyasa. Inhale, hands up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale to pike. Exhale to fold. Take it back into plank. And Chaturanga. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. And holding down dog for 5 breaths. If you have SI joint issues or upper low back issues, You can always take a small back bend and hold that, or come to resting child. Resting child with the arms extended has a similar energetic signature to downward dog. It just won't aggravate sciatica. If you have SI joint issues, downward dog is contraindicated. It will aggravate the condition. Until you resolve it, it should not be practiced. When you've taken 5 breaths, I'll know you're done when you bring it to seated. And then find your way. Maybe drop to the knees, cross the ankles, sit back across the ankles, and bring the legs out front. That's it. And let's bend the right knee and place the right foot against the inner left leg. Glue the flesh from the sit bones and sit up as tall as you can. Smooth today. Inhale, hands up. Exhale, the hands down, but keep the lift in the chest. And the arms slide forward along the extended leg until you reach as far as you can and draw what you can reach towards you. That's it. Breathing and holding. Nothing to force. Again, we're at 95 max of our stretch. Never pushing past that. When we push to 100%, we are looking to make the muscles tense up as opposed to relax. When you've taken 5 breaths, let's bring the right hand behind the right hip and point the toes on the left foot, no hurry. And we're going to come up onto the left knee into half circle. Inhale, coming up. And the arm comes over the ear. Any shoulder injuries, you can put your hand on your ribs or behind your head. When you've taken 5 breaths here, now this is definitely not part of classic Ashtanga. It's just a wonderful counter pose to the single leg forward fold that I like. When you've taken 5 breaths, drop the arm across the chest again. Lower down, bring the seat back to the floor, stretch both legs out straight and cross the ankles, rock forward and hop back into plank or step back. As you come to plank, chaturanga and vinyasa. Urdhva Mukha Shivanasana, Adho Mukha Shivanasana, and hold for 5 breaths. And coming back to seated. As you come back to seated, legs forward, and let's do the other leg. Bend that over left leg, place the left foot against the right inner thigh. And inhale, hands up. Exhale, the hands down, and forward fold out. Draw whatever you can reach towards you. The extended leg is active, the toes are lifting up towards the ceiling, the heel is gently pressing outward, and the hands draw what you can reach towards you. And notice what happens with each exhalation. And if the muscles relax, inch forward. Go a little further forward as the muscles relax. If they don't relax, don't force it. Just stay with the sensation. Imagine you could breathe into wherever you feel the biggest sensations, and with each exhalation, exploring what you can let go of. I noticed Jessica touching the top of her foot too. We've talked about how tension sits in various parts of the body. So touching your shin, touching your foot, touching your calf, touching the sole of the foot are all ways to release the whole back line of the body. All the fascia is connected from the toes to the forehead. If you're done, inhale, coming up. Take the left hand behind the left hip. Point the toes on the right foot, lift up onto the right knee and stretch in half circle. Gate pose. Oh, reach and lengthen and open up. Oh, notice if you're hyperextending at the elbow. Engage the arm muscles. That's it. Breathing and holding. When you've taken 5 breaths, drop the arm across the chest. Lower the seat back down around to the front and cross the ankles and vinyasa. Rock forward, walk or hop or step back into plank. Listen if you need to modify. If your wrists are fatiguing, your shoulders are fatiguing, drop to the knees. You'll have half the weight or some proportion of weight, less weight. When you get to downward dog or resting child, we're taking 5 breaths today. When you've taken 5 breaths, I'll know you're done, and you bring it back to the floor. That's it. And now let's stretch the legs out wide. Inhale, hands up. Exhale, the hands down, and walk forward from the hip joint. That's it. Breathing. We'll try not to bounce. Toes up. It's not so important how far forward we go, but that we get to that point about find the edge of the stretch and hang out. Let the chin fall into the chest. Maybe a small nodding of the head. Just nodding, yes. Don't force anything. If you feel like you're going too far, ease off. Knees up, don't force anything. Really tight hamstrings, bend your knees. And just ease into the hamstrings. You don't have to get there. Don't want to hang in the joints. When you're taking 5 breaths, inhale coming up. And let's take another breath. Inhale the hands all the way up. Exhale the hands down around the back. My arms are so short I'd have to be up on the pads of my fingers, but if your hands reach the floor, lift and open the chest into a back bend. And press the legs downward as you lift. You have seat stays on the floor for this one, pressing into the floor even as you lift and open. Looking up without compression in the neck. And then bring the head forward, bring the body forward. Walk the legs back in together. And let's do the hippie walk down towards the end of the mat, just like walking on your hips. That's it, and walk back into the same place where you started. Just releasing the inner thighs and cross the ankles in Vinyasa. You're doing great, guys. You're doing great. Squeaky mat. When you get to downward dog, hold in for 5 breaths. And when you've held for 5 breaths, we're going to come back onto the floor once again. Back to seated. As you get back to seated, knees bent, feet on the floor. Arms up, so palms face each other. And we're going to try to lean back either onto the sacrum or onto the tailbone. Lift the knees and the feet up off the floor into Navasana, the boat pose. And you can either have your knees bent or straight legs. Straight legs will be more challenging. Bent knees will be a little modified. If you have any neck injuries, you may want to hold on to the back of your knees so you don't strain the scalenes on the front of the neck or the trapezius muscles. Or sternocleidomastoid or any of all that good stuff in there. When you've taken 5 breaths, bring the knees right into your chest in a nice crunch and cross the ankles, rock forward, and walk or hop back into plank and Vinyasa. That's it. You got this. Up and back. When you've taken 5 breaths, I'll know you're done when you bring it back to the floor. Yes. Good yoga is listening to your body, pausing when it needs a break. When you've taken 5 breaths, we'll find our way back onto the back again. Right down to the back. Loving it. As you get to the back, knees bent, feet on the floor, arms are down by the sides. Let's have hips, knees, and ankles in alignment. And I know that might feel like we're there, come in and find my foot. And bring your heels where walk your heels in towards your buttocks this way. That's it. And that's your heels in line with your hips. When you're ready, inhale, lift the hips up. And roll the shoulders back and down. Bring the hands together behind the back. Link the fingers together. Point the pointer fingers. And drop the arms towards the floor as we lift and open through the chest. Imagine the shoulders rolling back and down into the ground. Nothing to force. Right? Notice how the knees want to wing out in this position. And try to keep them pointed straight ahead in line with the feet. That's it. And when you've taken 5 breaths, unfold the hands, unfold the shoulders, lower down slowly. Small of the back hits the ground before the pelvis. That's it. And bring the knees into the chest. And let's try some spinal rocking forward and back. And if you can, either rock all the way to standing or roll to the side and come on up to standing. That's it. You can use momentum to rock forward and stand up. That's it. Come back to the top of the mat. Inhale, hands up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, hiking. Exhale, folding. Take it back into plank once again. And chaturanga. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. And this time, instead of pulling downward dog, let's come straight back to the back. Come back onto our backs. That's it. Don't hurry. Take your time. Ooh, yeah. And we're going to come into legs up pose. As the arms come down by the sides, we get to the ground. Take the legs up to the ceiling. If anyone needs a block, let me know and I'll bring you a block right underneath the hips. That's it. Holding for 5 breaths. If you need a block under your hips, it just helps you to not have to strain your back to hold your legs up, right? If it's your moon time or if you have any injuries that would prevent you from doing shoulder stand, we just stay in legs up pose. If you're ready and you're familiar with the practice, coming on up into shoulder stand today. Hands in the small of the back, we're sitting into the hands. It's really half shoulder stand, Ardha, Samasa. And there should never be any sensation of pinching or excessive tightness in the neck. And it's become a very controversial pose, so really listen to your body. If it doesn't feel like the right pose for you, please don't do it. Just stay. Stephanie's doing a really great legs up pose with a block. It's awesome. Get all the same and similar benefits without ever jeopardizing anything. And when you've taken 5 breaths, coming over into plow, halasana, the feet come overhead, or Stephanie, you could take your knees into your chest for a variation and keep your heels up and your toes flexed towards your chest. It feels a little more work in that position. And if you want to, guys who are in plow, if you want to bring your arms to the floor, you can press the palms down. One day you may be able to bring your hands together, link them, the same way we did in bridge in the previous posture. But for today, they might be just on the floor. When you've taken 5 breaths in plow, bring knees to ears. So Stephanie could just open your knees up and visualize them being at your ears. Don't have to get there. Lots of people have done this sequence to recover from accidents and injuries and developed incredible muscle tone from just visualizing the posture. All right? That's one of the ways to teach the body and to preview. It's part of somatic yoga. It's previewing the pose in the mind before you actually do the pose. When you've taken 5 breaths with the knees to ears, 1 breath back in plow, knees back together, Stephanie, and 1 breath back in shoulder stand, and lower down slowly. See how slowly you can tuck in and lower the feet back to the ground. And inhale, coming back up into bridge. Uttanasana. Hold for 5 breaths. If full back arch is in your practice, this would be a nice place to do it. If it's not part of your practice, don't feel like you have to rush to it. It's not something we want to rush. Again, that's a practice to build up. And if you do come up, transition first to the top of your head and see if the strength is there today. Every day is a different day. Don't force the body to do anything it's not ready for. Okay? You're doing great. And when you've taken 5 breaths in this back bend, unfold hands, shoulders, lower down slowly, knees to chest. And you can either rock up and all the way to standing again if you like that. Or you can go right back. There we go. You can always roll to the side and come to standing. And one last vinyasa. Inhale, hands up. Exhale, forward fold. On your breath piping, on your breath folding. Taking it back into plank. And vinyasa. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. When you get to down dog, holding for 5 breaths. And notice if there's space underneath the mound of your first finger. Press the joints into the floor. You may feel a sense of hollowness in the palm, but all the joints of the fingers, the thumb, the heel of the hand firmly in the ground. Imagine pressing the hands apart. Wow, this last expression of strength and stability. When you've taken 5 breaths, let's bring it back to the floor. And we're going to end with our deep twist that we like to end with in modified Ashtanga practice. When you're ready. Onto the floor. Bring the knees into the chest. We rock a little side to side. Find your smile. Circle around to the right. Circling around to the left. And rolling onto the right side. We roll to the right side. Tuck the knees in towards the chest. And then when you feel everything's relaxed, knees relaxed, feet relaxed, head is heavy, open the arms up wide into a T position. If you have any neck issues, let me know and I can bring you a folded blanket for underneath your head. That's it. Just gonna bring this just to feel your neck. It's a little tight today, huh? Nice, huh? Cool. You want to take at least 8 to 10 of the deepest, fullest breaths we can take on each side today. A deep twist is a great way to integrate forward folds, downward dogs, back bends, and life in general. I don't know about anyone else, but I really enjoy a deep twist at the end of the day or before I get out of bed in the morning. When you've taken at least 8 to 10 of the deepest, fullest breaths you can take on this side, bring the left arm back over to the right side. No hurry. Bring the hands back together. And on the next breath, one hand on each knee, roll it back to center. Pause for a breath there. Just feel the 2 sides. And on the next breath, we'll roll on to the left side. Take your time. Get to the side, whichever way makes it most supportive for your neck and low back. And open up when we get there into T position. That's it. You're doing great. Feel the difference in the 2 sides. If the arm is not on the floor and the shoulder is not on the floor, bend the arm at the elbow, place the hand on the ribs, and don't overstretch the ligaments of the shoulder. You're doing great. Nothing to do but breathe and watch the body being breathed. You've taken 8 to 10 of the deepest, fullest breaths you can take on this side. We'll bring it back to center. And we'll place one foot on the floor and the other foot. No hurry, take your time. And if you'd like a blanket as you stretch the legs out straight today, just put a hand on your belly and I'll bring the blanket to put on your legs. If you're at home listening, you can throw a blanket on your legs. It's much easier to relax when you're comfortable and warm. And as you stop perspiring, you'll find you feel a lot cooler. The room will feel a lot cooler. And it gets hard to relax and really give yourself time to integrate the practice. Shavasana can be as short or as long as you'd like it to be. Most of the most advanced teachers that I've worked with have suggested that Shavasana is the single practice that we should never, ever, ever give up. And in this particular style of yoga, Shavasana is recommended to be 20 to 30 minutes. And we generally give it 10 to 15 in our practice classes, but do feel free when you're practicing at home to turn off the video and just stay in Shavasana as long as you like. Or if you have to rush somewhere, give yourself time to stop perspiring and then get on with the day. moment now, we'll begin to bring our attention back to the room, the floor, the body. We'll come back feeling relaxed, centered. That sensation of well-being and strength of will. If you like, taking a moment to come back to our original intention, if you set one for your practice today. Noticing any interesting thoughts or insights that have come up for you. And begin to do whatever the body feels the need to do now. Stretch, roll around, and eventually we'll come on up to a seated posture together. No hurry, taking our time. Come. Let's close our practice by taking a nice deep breath in. Inhale, hands up, look for the thumbs. Exhale, hands to a heart. And if you like, join me in chanting Om today. Taking a deep breath in. Shanti. And go in peace. Namaste. Feel good. That you have an awesome, awesome day today.
Thank you, Deans.